Two, excuse me, I'm recording. We get it. You have a motorcycle. Like, who cares? Dude.
Dawson Rider review.
Hey YouTube, Dawson Rider here. Welcome to my review for the Power Rangers Wild Force Blue Ranger figure from the Hasbro Lightning Collection. Let's go ahead and get started with the accessories as we usually do. As you can see on him, we have a signature weapon, which are actually pretty well done. Like, I think they cooked them like medium rare. No, I'm just kidding. That was a weird joke, but they're pretty well done. There's not a lot of details to these, so it's kind of hard to mess them up, but they look good. They have all the core details. The overall color looks good. They don't look cheap. It's funny because I'm going to be doing a comparison here in a minute to the old version from the 2002 release. But I do remember those versions of the weapons actually being some of the better ones. I actually don't have them on hand, but I remember those actually being the colors of the weapons and not just a gray plastic weapon. But I thought that was worth noting. You also get the Crystal Saber as the sidearm, which, is fine. It does look a little bit cheaper, and you do kind of have this gold color here that just goes along with like the sun pattern rather than maybe something blue matching the blue orb. Honestly, who cares? You can just pretend it's the giraffe one or just not care about that. It's not a big deal. It looks fine for what it is. You have your standard lightning effect, and you have two sort of action hands on there, or kind of like their, wild posed hands they usually do. I almost mixed it up for a second thinking they did that weird run, and then I remember that was Lost Galaxy, but they will frequently kind of make those animal-shaped hands and like pound on the ground and be like, Wild Force, or whatever they say in the show. And you got your head sculpt here for the human head, which looks fine. It's not one of the worst ones, but it's one of those ones that looks like in the middle of like on the way to accurate, but not quite there. Kind of like the royalty-free version. On to the main event itself, I have to say I'm pretty pleased with this figure. I actually really like this a lot. Blue and red are probably my two favorite core suits from Wild Force, and I have a memory of like really being excited about those two suits in particular when I first saw the images for Wild Force when the original figures and stuff were about to come out. So like I kind of have a nostalgic attachment to it because I was really stoked to find the original figure. So I was stoked for this figure as well, and I'm happy with the way it turned out. I think the helmet looks really nice. There's a little bit of a strangeness to the way that the teeth kind of meld together that looks a little bit messy, but that's just honestly being nitpicky because for the most part I think the helmet honestly looks really good, and that was one of my concerns when we first saw the preview images, is there was something a little bit off about the helmet and the body proportions that looked a little bit strange. But I'm happy to report, honestly, it's not a big deal at all. I mean, if you're looking at the pictures, you go Google Gal Ranger Wild Force Blue, and you really want to nitpick and be like, rah, 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 then maybe you're gonna find something. But I think this looks decently proportioned. Certainly not like the promo pics, which made it seem awkward. It's not perfect, like the neck is still a little skinny, but it's solid, and I'm happy with it, and I'm happy it's not as awkward as it looked in the pictures, and I'm happy with the helmet sculpt. I'm happy with everything else too. I think the paint here for the symbol looks good. For the stripes maybe look a little cheap, but for the most part, it overall flows nicely together. The blue looks good. The proportions overall, again, I'm very happy with. Your articulation is pretty much all the same. You got the ball joint on the neck. You have the hinge joint here, ball joint at the waist. You got your hinge joint here. You got a ball joint at the arm. You got the elbow joint here. And then you have the ball joint at the fist. And then you have a nice hinge joint and ball joint at the leg. Knee joint there. Hinge joint at the foot. The only looseness I have is a little bit loose. I don't know if you could tell around the chest. Sometimes it'll fall forward a little bit, but nothing too huge, honestly. Just real quick, I want to compare it to the original version right here, which I was talking about. The Wild Force ones are one of the weirdest figures. They certainly do not hold up at all. If you're looking for a good Wild Force blue figure, this is definitely the route to go. Definitely a significant upgrade. This is a really strange one. So muscular with a tiny little head. However, these are some of my most nostalgic ones because, as I said, I was just like really excited by the Wild Force suits. And when I finally found the figures, I was really stoked. So I have a nostalgic attachment to these, even though they're some of the strangest looking ones. But you can see significant upgrade there for this. This isn't a perfect figure. It has its little ups and downs, just like all the releases. But overall, I find it to be a solid release I'm happy with. And if you're like me and you like this suit, I can recommend adding it to your collection. But until next time, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, and climb the steps and ring that bell so you can get notifications for my videos. Dawson Rider, signing out.